Welcome back. You're watching the Blockbuster CII Budget Roundtable. I've got K. Raghu. He's the president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. There's talk of a new accounting standard by 2016. How significant is that, and what would you look forward to in these new standards, and how many marks are you going to give the finance minister? Here's how it works. There's 0. Just pull up till the time you settle on a figure that you want to give. You're giving him 8. Why are you giving him 8?
I think it's an excellent budget, I could say. Is paved the way for a vibrant and strong India. And he has tried to please many people in the various proposals, especially in the tax proposals. The 3 important tax concessions which a normal salaried employee would look at is the basic exemption limit. Then number 2 is an exemption for the interest on housing loan. And number 3, he also is looking at giving you an additional exemption for making additional investments under ETC. So 50,000 would translate into 1,50,000. 10% would be about 15,000 saving for every salaried employee, which is he's quite happy. But coming to the corporates, not much has been given because surcharge is continuing, right? And then they've also said that they're coming out with new accounting standards, the International Financial Reporting Standards. The Institute of Chartered Accountants of India has taken the lead in this and tried to say that yes, we have to align with what is happening globally. Today, more than 130 countries are following the new accounting standards. India can't be isolated with what's happening in the rest of the world.
Okay.
So we feel that yes, we need to align. 2015 is an option, 2016 is mandatory, and we're all set for the new reporting standards.
Healthcare was, like was the case with his budgets in Gujarat, the key sector. There are going to be more aims, other incentives for the healthcare sector. What are you making of?
See, in healthcare, he has not addressed just peripheral healthcare, aims in every center in every city. He's also addressed water problem. 70% of rural India today suffers because of waterborne diseases. He's addressed that very minutely. Everybody knows that the past governments, say rupees 100, they did not deliver 10 rupees down the line. In Nirbhaya Fund, they did not even deliver a rupee. His past reputation is that if he promised 10 rupees, he delivered 20. So there's a phenomenal amount of hope generated that what he delivers or what he promises in healthcare sector. Like till now, 60 years of independence, we had only 0.09% of the deficit GDP to going to the healthcare. It was only a UPA promise that it will be taken up to 3%. Now suddenly you realize that a common man can get, he's already promised water problem solution. There's already a hope generating. There's also a unique budget in one more manner. The 4 pillars from where the major public-private partnership, so as to say, can come in. The defense is the biggest one. There's a healthcare, there's infrastructure stroke manufacturing, and there's a tourism. It is the first time that somebody has woken up and addressed all the 4 problems or all the 4 issues simultaneously. And that is why...
Rajiv Emani, how many marks are you giving the finance minister?
I've not been a good math student, but I...
You haven't been a good math student. I find that very difficult to believe.
You have told us that earlier. No, I would agree with Raghu. I would agree with our president of our institutes. I would say it's...
8. Why is it 8?
I think he's, as he rightly said, I think there's not been, he had very tight balancing act. I think he has covered everything that we were expected. He's not given a date on GST, but I think he's been very articulate in trying to say that we'll work with the states.
So have past finance ministers.
They've given dates. They did give the dates. They gave the dates earlier, but at least he's committing to that. I think the biggest, as I mentioned earlier, is the entire issue on settlement, on defense and insurance. He's clearly stated out on the FDI issues. There are some big changes. This investment fund of 10,000 crores for MSMEs and everything else. I think that's very positive. That is for up. They were lacking capital. That will create some good capital platform.
I want to go across to Vijay Chong, right outside Parliament. My colleague Javed Ansari, a senior BJP leader, Anand Kumar, with him. Javed, there's a sense that it isn't as big ticket and bold a budget as it could have been. That the biting the bullet or the new wave of reforms, that seems to have been missing. What is Anand Kumar's explanation, Javed?
मैं ऐसे reaction देख के आया हूँ.
Anand Kumar ji, there is this feeling that this big reform, these big bang announcements that were expected. You all promised the moon before you came into power. This, by your own standards, is a very staid budget.
No, it's a renaissance budget. It's a revival budget. Actually, I want to compliment both our Prime Minister Narendra Bhai Modi as well as Arun Jaitley for bringing out such a spectacular budget.
What's spectacular?
When the country is facing such a economic crisis, from the economic crisis that UPA had left the country in, from there is a very good initiatives to revive the whole economy.
No, but what is spectacular? You know, there is only that much you can do. You can say, you can blame as far as the previous government is concerned. Now people expect you to deliver. What is so spectacular?
There are two specific things. Number one, there are no financial and tax burden on the common people. And secondly, there are such initiatives in agri sector, in industrial sector, small scale industrial sector, all will result in growth. All will result in vibrancy in economy.
Sir, but these are all pious intentions. Where is the nuts and bolts? What is the nuts and bolts?
They are not pious intentions. The way he has reduced the customs duties, the way he has reduced the excise duties, I think that will fuel economic activity. Not only that, the way he has given incentives to the agricultural sector, it will create a purchasing power.
Sir, Sonia Gandhi in her reaction to me said that this is most of the schemes that the UPA had started, you all are just carrying that. There is nothing new and there is absolutely nothing for the social sector.
If Srimati Sonia Gandhi is so ignorant about economics of the country, I can't comment on that, and country is experiencing and paying the price of that ignorance of last 10 years.
Like, I mean, are you talking of the subsidies? If that is the case, then why has your government continued with them? There is no step to reduce the subsidy burden.
It's not the question of reducing the subsidy, it's the question of giving incentives to growth through customs, to excise, to taxation reforms, through various capital funds, venture capital funds, to everything. Arun Jaitley is fueling up the growth of the economy, growth of the employment.
Mr. Anant Kumar ji, thank you very much for taking time.
Thank you, my dear.
We'll wait and see how much of growth and employment this generates.
We are confident that there will be a turnaround. It's a renaissance budget.
Mr. Anant Kumar describes it as a renaissance budget.
He's calling it a spectacular budget. Is it from any angle? Let me ask Mr. Mittal that question. Do you think from any angle it is as exciting a budget as Anant Kumar and other BJP leaders would have us believe?
Well, I think from the industry perspective, there are many things which have been talked about and clarified. I mean, we need to see ultimately how this is going to be rolled out. I mean, for example, on FDI, for defense and insurance, I think the more important thing which I see is with management control through the FIPP route. I think that is something which will spur investments coming into this. The second piece which I would like to pick up, I mean, Sikka did talk about on the safe drinking water. I think rural housing, safe drinking water, 10,000 crores for startups as a corpus. I think to my mind, these are big, thumbs up sign for the industry. Having said that, also, if you look at, he's put 7,000 plus crores on smart cities. If I look at
just 4 cities, he promised 100. What do you think 4 is a good start?
There has to be a beginning. I mean, the point is you can't say you will do 100 tomorrow.
Okay.
Then someone will say it is very, very ambitious.
I want to get a word in from Pramod Thakkar. He's the MD of Global Insurance.
Before I go there, I think on the GST also what he mentioned, I think that has been a long pending demand from the industry. And I wish this moves in a very fast pace, because all the leakages are taken care of. There are hassles and processes.
It's dependent on the states. The states still need to come on board. Okay, I want to go across to Pramod Thakkar, MD Global Insurance, joining us from Mumbai. Mr. Thakkar, analysts here giving between 7 and 8, along with all the industrialists joining us at CII. What's your overall sense of this budget, sir?
Yeah, I'm very happy in so many directions. I would give 8 as a rating, and I'll tell you why. Number one is, this is, one thing which is lacking this budget is they have departed from those flashy announcements and fancy announcements. The best part they have done is tried to touch certain core for the growth of the industry. That is, I would divide it into 2. The first core is that they have touched, the finance minister is very ably touched through
Wants to come.
by touching this agriculture as a sector. And if you look at it, trying to link Manrega into an agriculture labor. Agriculture is a very important tool which is generating and can deflate the inflation. There is a big shortage and supply, and productions of the agriculture is under question. So the Manrega resources will be linked to agriculture labor supply. Agri-lending is one of the area Finance Minister has touched. Agriculture and irrigation has been touched. For agriculture, an entrepreneurial scheme in agriculture sector has been touched. And warehousing to support the agriculture has been touched so that we can arrest the wastage of the food. Now we have this dry monsoon looming around us, so these are all very important, and if the agriculture has been triggered rightly in the right direction and channelized properly, this would give a cyclic effect to so many industries, textile, purchasing, white goods, and lot of job supply as well. Finance Minister has also very ably touched a very long pending bill of insurance they have touched. The defense sector and insurance both has been given, and FDI relaxations in terms of 49%. And of course, in terms of manufacturing industry also, the Finance Minister has touched some boosting. The skill development has also been touched, which is not very widely discussed. The skill development is a big shortage both in manufacturing and service industry. And if we get oversupply of employable skill rather than the formal graduates, I think this will also help to give us an efficient services, but also it will give us a services available at a reasonable level and at a reasonable cost. And that's my take.
All right, I also want to introduce at this time two new guests who've just joined us. We've got Sumit Mazumdar, CMD TIL, also President Designate CII. Also with us at this time, Shobhana Kamini, Executive Director of Apollo Hospitals. We've also got Arun Puri, Chairman India Today Group. And let me ask my boss first. What do you make of the budget, sir?
I'm a bit disappointed, I must say.
His basic education was
as a chartered accountant.
Well,
in London, no less.
I'm a bit disappointed, and I would have seen a less of a chartered accountant's budget. I would be much happier. It should have been a larger vision. I think the basic message that a lot of things which government does not do well has not come across. Is the fact that exciting the private enterprise spirits, giving more facilitation to private enterprise to come up in every kind of field is not there. So if you close your eyes, it could be just another budget or just
what do you
another
think held
government.
Jaitley and Modi back?
I can't read their mind, but I think perhaps the economic mess which was left behind has probably restricted their options. But I would have expected a much clearer, bolder, audacious declaration of intent. That okay, we are in certain restrictions, but this is what we want to do. We believe
what held the government back? Why not a bolder declaration of intent?
That the belief in private enterprise, the belief in the Indian people, that they are the ones who have given the right atmosphere, environment, facility, that they will make this country succeed. It's still that the government will do everything for you in some form or the other. This is what I don't like.
You know, to take an example, he mentioned the Expenditure Commission. Now, if he really wanted to make an impact, he would have spelled out a little what he wants from this Expenditure Commission. That's where the message of redesigning governance could have come in. But he didn't say that. He just left it. We will have an Expenditure Commission which will report this. Yeah, God knows what it will say. Probably if you just end up with a bunch of bureaucrats, he'll come out with some cutter-putter thing. So my point is, it's a competent budget, but it's not a path-breaking.
Why is it not a path-breaking budget? What held Jaitley back?
It's a philosophical thing. Can the government, can any government say, I have no faith in myself, I have no faith in the government? The problem in India is, problem with governments all over the world, until a Thatcher comes along or a Reagan comes along.
But this is supposed to be India's Thatcher moment or Reagan moment.
It is not. But obviously this
why
budget,
not?
This budget tells you it's not.
You were saying that it will signal a decisive shift to the right.
No.
I said it won't.
I'm hoping it would.
But it didn't. Why not?
Here. No. Because I'm saying that it's very difficult for the government to say that I have no faith in the government. Now you see your existing central institutions. I'm just taking one example. He's taken a lot of time announcing 100 crore project, which is a $15 million project at today's exchange rate. It's nothing, right? Even a medium-sized Indian corporate announced a scheme like that, nobody would even give it a mention. But having said that, government is struggling to find faculty for its existing institutions. There's been a massive exodus from All India Institute of Medical Sciences in Delhi, one. Now, if you set up 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 more AIIMS under the government system, from where will you find faculty? You will not find faculty because everybody's salaries are then linked to the Cabinet Secretary of Government of India. So you have director of AIIMS in Delhi who takes some lakh and 80,000.
He could be making 1.8 crores in the private sector at Apollo.
No, he could maybe he could maybe making 5, 10 lakh, yes, 5, 10 lakh rupees every day. So many people will be happy to teach and will take an income sacrifice, accept an income sacrifice, but not of the order of 1:150. So if on the other hand he had said that, look, we are coming up with a set of policies, so private healthcare providers can set up medical colleges on a commercial basis, we will put up regulation, etc., 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 this problem would have been solved.
Because Sumit Mazumdar, are you as disappointed, Mr. Puri and Shekhar?
I'm going to respond to what Arun said, and two things he talked about: infrastructure. Now, we know infrastructure had practically come to a standstill in the country, whether you're talking about road building, whether you're talking about mining. And they were basically for structural issues. And it was all being done on a PPP model. And it was a structure, delays, which made debt financing a problem. Now, he is talking about getting the banks to start funding these people and reducing the banking norms so that they can fund them.
I don't like it. As a taxpayer, as an Indian citizen, I don't like it when my finance minister says he will get the banks to lower their lending norms. But I think I see trouble 5 years ahead.
I think the point here is that infrastructure is something we can't do without, and it has to be a private investment, because the government...
There's a private investment coming in from the Japanese banks, 100,000 crores, 1 lakh crores at 0% interest. Not only that, what I differ with Shekhar over there is, look at the Gujarat model, what he has done. Look at his trend, what he has done. There is a government hospital and there is a private infusion in almost every government hospital. Rates remaining same, the cost remaining same, the hospitals are
absolutely... Do you agree with the fact that maybe there should be the private hospitals?
Rahul, can I just add something?
Yes.
While we are debating this, obviously the market has read something in the budget papers which we haven't.
Yeah, that's correct, because the market's up 429.
No, not just 429. The market has actually swung 800 points. It was down 350 in the morning. It's now up 430. So an 800 point fluctuation means the market has read something in the budget.
I'll tell you what it has read.
Yes, go on.
What it has read is, what he has done on financial sector reform is substantial. What he has done on making life easier for FIIs in terms of their management systems here is substantial. What he has done on many of the other provisions relating to the stock market is substantial. So the market is right to read this as something which is positive for the stock market.
Ms. Yogna.
Yeah, and I'd like to take off from what Shekhar spoke about. A couple of points on that. One is, was it a disappointing budget? I don't think so, because first I give credit. A 30-day government has behaved with some huge degree of maturity, that they haven't been in power for 10 years, but they understood issues, even to the point of saying organic farming in the northeast. I was there 3 months ago, and Sikkim is all organic farming, so they've gone into the detail, and the devil is in the details. So when they spoke about 1, 2, 3 reforms for public-private partnership,
how many marks are you giving the budget?
For infrastructure, I don't give you marks, but I'm giving you this. For the overall budget, but on healthcare, unfortunately, I have to turn
on healthcare, you're giving it negative because Harinraj has given it a big positive.
I'll tell you why. Because here is India with the lowest GDP spending on healthcare of most countries ever, whereas we have the highest amount of NCDs, of diabetic, of cardiac, of cancer.
NCDs are non-communicable disease.
Non-communicable disease. So here is something which will stare us in the face. And so while the government should have really upped the ante and given, saying that I'm going to spend this much more. So they announced it in small form, saying that we'll give free diagnostics, something for, but there were a couple of easy things. So I look at it as an opportunity.
Okay, what we'll do is we'll head into a quick break. When we come back, we'll get, now that everybody's been able to put their thoughts together, we'll get our entire panel here, the Blockbuster Budget Roundtable.